Good afternoon. This is Sunil Sundaraj with njvarsity.rivals.com. I'm happy to welcome in today Northern Highlands Regional High School football senior Nick Holle. Nick, thank you so much for taking some time out to speak with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Congratulations, Nick, on a stellar career there at Northern Highlands. You've had some time now to reflect, said not only on probably your senior season, but just overall, as said, your career there. Can you just talk about, just being able to play this year? I've talked to a bunch of guys, just with the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, just getting back there on the football field, and you guys know a number of games they either canceled or pushed back. But just, again, being able to take that field with your teammates and coaches, Nick.
I think it was a big, I think it was a big year because it kind of finished it out for us as a kind of a program. And, I was happy that we'd be able to get on the field, and I was happy that I was able to finish it out because it kind of felt like my class was the more like the trailblazers of Highlands, kind of changing us around and, from us becoming just a soccer school or whatever. And we kind of really started it. So we really wanted to play this year, especially after losing last year, where it felt like that was the year we kind of were coming up. And then this year we kind of, I think, put our program back on a map and, started now saying, we can win games, we can play, and we can play with real good public schools in the state.
That's great. Yeah, I know that word was used, it said being trailblazers. I want to ask you, going into the season, Nick, again, you guys were unsure whether you were going to have a season or not, but just as far as your training, personally, and then if I guess, once you, got the green light to go, to start practicing with your teammates, if you can just, walk everyone through that process as well.
So when we got shut down, or everybody did in March, we were lifting as a team in, February, like January, February, lifting as a team. And when we got shut down, we were kind of like all limbo, like, what do we do? There's not a lot of guys, we usually lift 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and we were all caught off guard. So, but we were real fast. Our coaches and our strength coaches put us on Zoom meetings, and we were doing team Zoom lifts from a week when the pandemic started. So I'd say March 20th, we were doing full-on team Zoom lifts with 60 guys in a Zoom and finding any weights you could have in the house and lifting. And so we kind of did a lot of those, a lot of days a week, and I think that really helped us because even if you weren't lifting as much as you could, it just kind of, every day I was seeing my team on Zoom or whatever, and never lost touch with them. And then once summer started and it got a little bit better, we were allowed to be on the field and do some team runs, like a couple guys and team runs outside. It started to come through, like, we're actually going to play this year. And once we started playing, it was exciting. We could.
Just describe that feeling when you took the field for the first time. It was like practice, and then I'll get to that first game of the season, Nick.
Practice was real fun because it was definitely a challenge because we couldn't really do anything for a couple weeks. We were doing like non-contact drills, agility drills, and all that stuff, just things to get us warm, get us hot, get us moving. But once we were able to actually put on some pads and practice and move around, it felt like back when you're practicing hard and competing. It was real fun. Yeah.
And just begin that first game, said being able to hit somebody and being on the gridiron, said competing against another opponent, I guess, instead of, with teammates, just what that felt like, Nick.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, especially because, it came out, it was a Friday night game, and, we just wanted to set a statement out early, and, you kind of forgot the last couple of games where we kind of last games we played last year, we kind of blew out some teams and then we lost big, and it felt good because we were in a tough game with them. And, it really felt after the end when we started really running the ball hard. It felt like we were, back to what we usually were doing, and it was fun.
And for you personally, Nick, what does Friday Night Lights mean? Being under that, that big stage, that spotlight. I mean, can you just talk about just, leading up, preparation, you prepare all week, practicing, said, probably, watching game film, and then, again, putting on the uniform, and then, of course, just, the rush out there onto the field. And then, of course, with kickoff, do you just, again, not a lot of people get to hear it from, the players, what those emotions are like.
I think it's hard to explain if you don't know, if you've never done it before. And, it's the most exhilarating feeling you're going to feel. And when you go out there, to me, it feels different than a Saturday game. And it was kind of sad this year because, we got schedule changed and we had some like Sunday day games, Saturday day games, and they're fun and all. And don't get me wrong, who doesn't want to, obviously want to play next level Saturdays too. But there's nothing better than a Friday night game. Working all week, even though we didn't have school much this year, we'd go to school for, or be virtual or in school for a little bit, and you'd come back and you'd be like, and everybody was kind of ready, like, let's go, we're getting ready to go. And there's nothing better than Friday night game.
Yeah, I mean, how crazy was that? Being able to adapt week to week, not knowing whether you were going to play or not. Then you said playing even a Sunday game. I mean, that's just insane. Like, just can you talk about how you guys were able to just basically adjust on the fly here? Just prepare for a situation like that.
It was. I mean, we always stayed ready. I mean, we always stayed ready. I mean, for us, you needed a couple of days off, a couple of days of rest, but we were always ready. We were always hot. We knew what we had to do. I mean, and week to week, we always game plan for teams, but, it still kind of comes down to the same things to win games. You got to tackle right, you got to block right, and we know our schemes. We know and a lot of the teams we've played, these teams, we know what they run, and it's just pretty much who can execute better. It's not really too much of, oh, we're just going to out-scheme you, out coach you, whatever. It's just you got to execute what your coaches tell you to run. And so we were on top of it every week. And, when we had a time for game, no matter when it was, we were ready to go.
What was just, with the seniors on this team, and I said you guys, came up together, just what going into the season, was there any discussion amongst you, just what you guys wanted to, accomplish in this final, season, there at Northern Highlands?
I mean, there was definitely a lot of talk amongst us. I mean, we knew that we were the kind of starters, team guys that really started it up. And we knew we had a lot of seniors playing, and we wanted to go out with a bang. And we wanted to go out and show like what we do, how we play is, to the end. And we were really like hard on each other, trying to, set everybody, because it was difficult for some people, being like, oh, we're not going to play. And we got to tell everyone we're playing. And you got to keep that stuff locked in. And we were ready to go. We wanted to just make statements out there. And I think we did with big wins over teams like, Wayne Hills, and big wins over Old Japan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Those last 2 weeks, signature wins, over Union, a high-scoring affair, 45-35, I believe. And then just a gritty, said victory over Old Japan, an arch rival. Can you talk about, again, going out on a high note like that, those last 2 wins, you alluded to, Wayne Hills again. I mean, so again, the top teams, it said not only here in North Jersey, Nick.
I mean, it felt great to go out on top. I mean, and it's for us, it's difficult, of playoffs, because nobody can really playoffs you can't really dispute, and everybody could say their record and who they played. But when football's a game of playoffs, and it comes down to one game in a playoff every time, and we would have loved to play a playoff and shown that we could rebound. And we obviously had those 2 losses to Valley and Ridgewood. I mean, not Ridgewood, Valley and Riverdale.
Yeah.
And, they beat us, and we wanted to come back and get hot from that. And after we kind of lost to Riverdale, we were pretty embarrassed. We just knew that we didn't execute well, and they played well, but I think it was more we didn't execute our stuff. And, people make excuses like, oh, we didn't have a lot of practice time, but I just think we didn't execute well. And, we wanted to make a statement back from that. And I think we did when we played other teams, and we came back beating Union and came back beating Old Japan at the end.
Yeah. I have to ask you about the Old Japan game. And I said, it was, again, 2020 has just been a crazy year. I mean, no fans in the stands. I mean, you had family in the stands, but I could see, like, once the final whistle went off, and even during that course of that game, I mean, how the guys really banded together and really, like, said, fought for each other. And once, that final whistle went off, just seeing how you guys, streamed onto the field, and you could see it just, I mean, again, how excited you were for one another. And just if you can just describe that, I mean, that was just wonderful to see, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the worst part, I think, of the year was having not no fans, but minimal fans. I mean, that's kind of the energy you thrive for, and especially as high school kids, I can think of the times when we were playing our playoff games against Colonia, Woodbridge last year, and our fans were rocking. I've never seen more people, and as a high school kid, it's awesome having that. And that was definitely the biggest gut punch I've had of them all.
Yeah.
But, it still comes down to you got to play the game no matter who's in the stands. And, it's not to me, it's difficult because, there's nobody there. But the games that we had meetings to win for ourselves. We wanted to win for ourselves. It didn't really have to do with all that stuff outside of the field. We wanted to beat Ultapan because of how much they beat us. I can remember freshman year, not being a freshman, not playing, but watching the varsity, get killed. And then watching my sophomore year playing and we get killed by them.
Yeah.
Embarrassed. And then we get played junior year and, we play a tight game, we lose at the end. And then this year was kind of like, we wanted to play them and beat them for ourselves. And so, we're back. Like they can't really dispute it as much anymore.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I think in ages that you guys had finally, overcame, that hurdle and, finally defeated Old Tapan. So I'm sure, it said that was sweet. Just putting on that Northern Highlands uniform, what does that represent to you personally? What is, Nick?
It represents a lot to me because, my whole family went to Highlands, or my whole siblings went to Highlands, and they all went through. And for me, being the last one, being the youngest, means a lot. And I love, I'm a big representation of our team is a big representation of our town, who we are. And, a lot of back in the day, our team was considered soft and, not as tough and whatever. But when you put on the uniform now, it's, we're ready to go. We're going to smash you. We're going to go after you and everything. So it means a lot putting on that uniform now.
I was talking to, I think, head coach Greg Russo and even the players. There are a lot of guys nicked up, and I don't think more than ever than your quarterback, Enzo Arjona. I mean, when I saw Enzo with that huge cast on his arm, I'm telling you, and when he scored that touchdown, I was saying, you could see, guys are slowly lifting him up because he was in such pain. I think, again, just the toughness, the tenacity that, he displayed. But I think, as you said, even the rest of the team as well. Can you just, talk about that?
We were banged up a lot because of, a lot of guys knew they had to play a lot of ways and a lot of time, and it wasn't easy. Enzo with his wrist, week one, he dislocated his wrist, and, he's had to carry the cast. Our running back, Nick Bronco, with his knee, a couple of our linemen ankles, me with my hands, it's everybody was banged up and all facets. And we seemed like everybody seemed to have, a problem, but he had to fight through it, and I think we all played great through it, and Enzo showed some toughness playing through it too. Yeah,
that's great. Talking about, Coach Russo, can you, just not only him, the rest of the coaching staff, just talk about, what they've meant to you and, just your progression, here, the last couple of years here, Nick.
Yeah, our coaching staff, I truly believe is the best coaching staff in Jersey, and anybody can debate that, but, what they bring to the table, the schemes they bring, the amount of coaching of experience they bring, and everybody, like, we think you're playing next level football, and that's what we are playing. And they coach us up like that, and it's not only that, they motivate us to play. So they're a combination of a scheming coach and motivating coach, and they know how to handle us. And I think they can do that with anyone, but I think they're great with us, knowing when to yell at us, when to motivate us, when to scheme us up, when to do that. And all credit to our coaches. Our coaches won us games this year. Coach offensive line, Coach Trulli, Coach Russo, Coach Schmidt, our receivers coach, Coach Orn, Coach Durango, they're all of them.
That's great. What are some of the intangibles, that Coach Russo, when he first came in and now said here a couple of years later, what he brought to the table, what he, as far as changing that culture at Northern Highlands, Nick?
I think he brought a lot of toughness to the culture, and I think he brought a lot of discipline. I think that was kind of the main thing that we didn't have, and we were not a lot of, people said this was like our main thing was we had summer workouts and not a lot of people showed up. It was an optional thing. It was, like I play football. But now it's I play football for 40 weeks a year, 30 weeks a year. You get a couple weeks off here and there, but if you're a sophomore, you're lifting. I think sophomores are starting to lift now. Juniors are starting to lift now. So you're playing, you're always together with each other. And it kind of just, and it's not that we're doing above and beyond, but that's as expected. That's what should be, and that's how you win. And that wasn't really what had happened before. It was just like, I'll see you guys in July, and I'll say goodbye to you guys in December, and you'll still see him, but not as frequently. And I think he brought the team kind of culture around, and that's a winning culture, and that's how he changed it.
Yeah, just that attention to detail and being organized and also responsible, as well. So coaches, players have said, there's never an off season. After you're done, let's say, regular, before this year, done in December, couple weeks later, you're right back at it, preparing for the next season, Nick.
Yep.
I wanted to, talk about your own personal accomplishments. Earning All County, All North Jersey, and SFC Freedom Red All Division Defensive Honors. A tight end, and then I believe an outside linebacker. You had a tremendous senior season. Can you be able to earn those accolades and, again, put up the numbers you did, and if you can just talk about, again, being two-way on being on the offensive side of the ball and then defense, Nick.
It was playing two ways I was kind of used to it because I've been playing two ways since I was a sophomore.
Okay.
And, I know how it's like, and I love playing two ways because I think it gives me kind of an advantage on both sides of the ball, knowing kind of, where everybody is kind of stuff. And I really take pride in kind of leading our defense a little bit, calling plays out there for defense and, checking things and letting people know where to go. And, I think that kind of the hard work and all the stuff that comes through, it kind of showed effect this year, and I was proud of it and how it showed out. And it wasn't just me though making plays. Me making all the tackles, or how safeties making tackles. It comes down to linemen spilling, corners making good coverage. Other linebackers taking on a block so the other one can make a play. So it's definitely not just me making plays out there.
Yeah, and it said to see the rest of the team being honored: Charlie Johnson, Andrew Haas, Luke Barthel, Enzo Arjona, Nick Branca, John Hammerley. To see all of you recognized, for one school to have that many players, especially, and also I wanted to ask you about being a public high school. What did that mean to you guys? It definitely has got to, you feel a lot of pride and joy in that, Nick.
Definitely do. It's definitely an honor for all of us to be mentioned, but at the same time, I think we deserved it. I don't think there was misbeat as to why we did. Kids that made their accolades and what they made was, for a reason. They played pretty some tough games, and I think you get a little less comp because you're a public school, but I still think it's you're still playing good football. And to me, you look at big power schools, Joe's, Bosco, Bergen, all those schools, and they're big and they got big guys.
Yeah.
But I don't think some teams that they play are super far off. I think that it can be they have some size obviously and they have some talent, but I don't think it's hot and cold night and day. You know what I mean?
I know 2019, that season did not end the way you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very bittersweet, defeat to Wayne Valley at MetLife Stadium. But the fact that for that first half, you were dominating Wayne Valley. To come out on the biggest stage at an NFL stadium at MetLife, where, the Giants and Jets play. What did that, for you guys, and if you just that whole day, if you can walk me through, and then even the week leading up to to play at MetLife Stadium, there for a championship. But what did that, just talk about that.
Yeah, it honestly sucked the way it ended. You just don't want to lose like that. But to me, it was probably it's still one of the greatest experiences I ever had. Just throughout the day, it was, I think our game was on a Friday and we had Thanksgiving the day before. And my family all came over for Thanksgiving like we usually do. And we have a big family, so about 12. And, I knew the whole family was going the next day, and so it was really exciting there. And, the whole day, it almost felt like an NFL game. You're going there, we go to school, we get our our travel bags, go through the stadium and stuff. And, coming out of the tunnel, I see, and there's not many people there, but once we come out of the tunnel again, after we come back in from warm-ups, we come out again for the game starting, and I've never seen more people out in life. And I still think we had the biggest crowd there with students, alumni, and then I saw my whole family in a section of like 15, 20 people. So it was definitely awesome there. And even though we lost, and it would have been great with the win, the memories that you have from there, and it was great.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you just about the alumni, just the support, from players from past years. If you can just talk about that quickly, Nick.
Yeah, it is definitely huge, and there's we're getting a lot more guys coming back now, a lot of more kids that want to come back now, but you still see a lot of people coming to games, and it was kind of restricted this year. But my dad or my siblings would go to AB&G, which is a restaurant right by our high school, and a lot of alumni would go there, and everybody would say, "Oh, I'm going to the game. I'm going to the game at MetLife. I'm going to the game at MetLife." So the amount of alumni that went to that game and the support they give for our program and stuff is huge.
That's great. Well, sort of talk about the high school as well. Support from your athletic director, from teachers, from the principal. It just seems like you can see that it's so evident, how much support there is, for the football team, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely getting a lot bigger. I mean, we were kind of in the beginning more of a, you play football, but now when we started rolling, it was like, oh, you guys are,
Yeah,
moving, and the support that our AD is always giving Bob Williams, it's big. And now we're kind of changing it with, we need when we get the help and we don't just get pushed over with stuff, and
yeah.
they're recognizing us more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That sticking, being, as you said, a soccer school, but now being known as a football, program
Mhm.
and a football powerhouse. I mean, again, knowing that tradition, carries from year to year. I'm sure that now, like that you're part of that, cycle, part of that, legacy. It must mean a lot to you, Nick.
Yeah, it definitely does, and it it's pretty proud to be a part of it, and have the support of all these people, because you realize you're not the only one. You're not just representing yourself, you're representing the whole town, whole school. And feel it's pretty proud to realize when you think about all the people that like are rooting for you and cheering for you and stuff like that, and they're part of the program too, and
Yeah.
it's not just you.
I want to just go back to when you first started out, when you were on the team, and then again, reaching your senior year. Uh, every year, was there something that, like, you implemented into your own personal training regimen, and, like, just any goals that you would set year after year, and then on top of that, now being a senior, that passing down that experience, said, to younger players, because you were there as a freshman learning from the seniors, from the upperclassmen. We can just talk about that, Nick.
Yeah, so I mean, in the beginning, I was a little bit smaller, and the thing is for me, it was just constant discipline. I mean, there's no real secret about it. It's just constantly doing the same
Yeah,
things over, lifting,
yeah,
eating. That's simple, but
yeah.
it's still hard. And I think that the thing that young kids need to know, and I try and teach our young kids, or especially our young linebackers, is
Hmm.
know everything you can, because you can be, especially me, I was playing linebacker, tight end, 160 pounds my sophomore year,
Wow.
and I wasn't very big. I was long and lanky, but
Yeah,
I wasn't very big. And you know, if you, I knew everything. I knew everywhere everybody had to be, and I tell them the best thing you can do is don't let them take you off the field because you mess up in a mental mistake.
hmm,
Don't let it happen. You can mess up physically. You can maybe get washed by a block or get killed by a block or whatever. But
yeah.
you know where to go, and you put other people in the right spot. It just adds you an advantage, and it's not hard to
Yeah.
do. And a lot of people can do that.
That's great. I was just wondering if there's any players, whether in the college level or even the pro level, that you've sort of tried to maybe take some tidbits, nuggets away, and
Oh,
sort of apply to your game, Nick.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely guys that I love to watch.
Yeah,
I love watching linebackers and how they scrape and fill. I mean,
yeah,
big Bobby Wagner fan. Littler guy, but fast as hell, and
yeah,
best linebacker. Kuechly, always watching Kuechly, his film study, what he did. And then guys with just some motors that I've seen that just keep going. Like obviously not positions that I play, but like Buda Baker, guys on the Cardinals who hit heads out, and
hmm,
just always going, always running. Like D tackles, Chris Jones, just all the guys that have high motors. And
yeah.
I love just watching NFL Sunday in a couple hours, and just watching
That's
them
great.
watching them play, and getting tips of how they play and how they shed blocks and everything. It's great.
That's good. Um, I said it's just not about being an athlete, a football player. It's also academics as well.
Mhm.
I wanted to. It's not an easy balance being a student athlete. Can you just describe how you've been able to tackle that, and just keep so organized there.
I mean, it's definitely not easy, but
Yeah.
it can be managed, and I think it's all just time management and stuff. It's you got to know when to you're gonna have practice. You're gonna practice late sometimes, and
Hmm.
you get aware of when the practices are, and you're
Yeah.
also aware of head when tests are, quizzes are, or homework assignments are, and you gotta just manage that and be smart about it. Like there's time in the day for you, especially now with virtual school. I mean,
Yeah.
difficult, but you get a little more time with school ending a little bit earlier, and it's a lot easier to manage your time if you know what to do. And I think this year was a little bit easier because you had extra time and you didn't leave
Yeah.
the school
Yeah.
with school ended around 12:30. You had practice around 3,
Hmm.
and you knew you could do homework then or stuff then. So you knew how to manage your time, and I think it was it's all about organizing and setting yourself right with knowing times and everything.
I asked you about, of course, support from the school and alumni, but how about the town of Allendale? What is the town of Allendale, meant to this football team,
And
Nick?
they meant a lot. I mean, the things they've done for the program, especially remember I think my last year or the year before that, before COVID allowed, the fire truck would come and we'd have a draping flag hanging 40 feet in the air,
Yeah.
allowing bagpipers to come for our
Oh,
games.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, against Riverdale. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Also having, AB&G, the restaurant there, sponsor us a
Yeah.
lot and, give us food. And a lot of people go there before games, after games for alumni support and stuff. So
Hmm.
they've been a huge help and everything. And especially the police officers too, they're always I remember that flag when they put it up. It was a process, but it was sweet and it looked awesome. And they did it for us.
Very nice. Just, I didn't want to forget, of course, playing a home game. It was very different this year, but talk about previous years and just, what home games were, like at Northern Highlands.
I mean, home games are special. I mean, um, I think last year kind of set it a little bit different. And I think the Friday night home games, there was nothing like it. And it was difficult this year because we didn't get as many,
Yeah.
which I was a little bummed out about, but you're still playing. But, you know, for me, it was sophomore year. We had some home games, but Friday night home games, but I can't remember us winning a Friday night home game. Just couldn't finish it out.
Yeah.
But last year, after losing to Rampo at home under the lights, it was kind of a big wake up call, and I think that's when we started rolling. And after we had our 3 playoff home games against Colonia, Irvington, Woodbridge, and having the people there, I mean, our home games were probably some of the best moments I've ever had, and just a lot of people being there and everything. It was awesome having those.
That's great. Just have a couple more. Can't thank you enough, Nick, for the time. How is the college search process going for you right now? I want to ask.
It's going good. Still trying to figure out, where I'm playing. Like to play football in college. I want to. I'm going to.
Okay.
There's a couple schools texting me, trying to give me some calls and whatever, sending out tape. Schools like Columbia, I think, and Dartmouth, and then a couple Patriot League schools like Lafayette. And just still trying to send out tape, see where they're at, and see where they're at, see where I'm at, and see if we what's going to happen next level.
That's great. Again, didn't want to forget, with family, if you can talk, you talked about your siblings, attending Northern Highlands, with that tradition, but if you want to talk about your parents and just what they've meant to you, the support you received, up to this point, Nick.
Yeah, my parents meant a lot to me for all the things they've done for me, and always give me support throughout this, like knowing that it's difficult, knowing that everybody wants, a COVID season isn't as fun as a regular season. It's just that's what it is. But always give me the support to have, and having my siblings home from away, a couple siblings at college, and flying them home for games, allowing them to come and see me, like the Union game, and surprised me there with my whole family coming. It was pretty special there, and it's what they did for putting in the effort for me, and trying to make it as best as they could was amazing. I love them for it.
That's great. I was wondering, Nick, growing up, besides football, were there any other sports that you played as well?
Yeah, it's definitely a ton of sports. I was a big soccer guy.
Okay.
Love play soccer, still watch it, still like it.
Yeah.
Basketball guy too. Me and my brother always still play one-on-one, and and definitely lacrosse. My brother and I are big lacrosse guys, so looking forward for that season coming up. So lacrosse will be fun, but definitely playing all sports around the house.
That's great.
With my brother was always playing 3 sports at Highlands, so I was always watching him play, and we would always try and compete no matter what sport we're playing. So
good to have a mentor there, and
Yeah.
said you could follow in some their footsteps.
definitely.
I think the final question I wanted to ask you, what makes the game of football so special, Nick?
I think that the game of football is difficult to explain if you haven't really played it. It sounds crazy when you explain it. You practice 7 days a week or 5 days a week, 6 days a week for one game. You play soccer, you could play 20 matches or 20 games. You play tennis, you could play a bunch of matches. You play lacrosse, you could play 23 games. But it's crazy. You practice all this time, you spend all these time and hours for 7 games, 8 games. There's not much, and you can't explain what it's like unless you play it. And when you play it, you realize there is nothing better than what it is.
Yeah.
It's why would you want to hit someone, or why would you want to hurt yourself, put your body in the way? Why would you want to do that? But you just don't understand unless you play it. And I think when you play it, you realize how close the bond is, how close, and just not only that, but how much of a game of everybody thinks it's a smash mental game, but how much of a game of mental game it is.
Yeah.
Mentally being your opponent, out coaching your opponent, and it's not just, and it gets this rep of being smash mouth, and which it can be, but it is a mental game. More, I'd say, is probably 60%, 70% of a mental game, and a lot of people don't realize that. And it's the greatest game. The greatest game, greatest sport there is.
And to ask you when you really developed that passion, when you knew, look, I really want to stick to football. This is what I want to pursue, for years to come, Nick.
I think when I was younger and playing fifth, sixth grade, you kind of, or Pee Wee footballs and Pop Warner football, you realize, man, you really enjoy the game. But I think it really starts happening when you're in high school. And I think you kind of get like freshman, sophomore years, and you're like, man, I really want to dedicate to it. Yeah. You watch what older kids do. You watch how they play, and either they motivate you to play or motivate you to be better. And watching what was happening to us, it was like, man, I really want to play. And I've always had a love for football. I've always had a love for not only the the hitting part of the game, but I love the mental game part of it. Yeah. I love all the stuff. Love being a student of the game. Love watching it. So I've always loved it. And the way I've looked at it is I've wanted to, pursue it definitely like sophomore year, freshman year, knowing that I want to play next level and I want to play and, really put my heart into this.
That's great. I wanted to end that, what your message, you talked about Pee Wee, you talked about junior, I said football. You were there at one point. What your message would be to younger kids, who are trying to, again, move up that ladder and that want to succeed and want to one day, said, take that field as a varsity football player, what your message would be to younger kids?
I think the biggest message is kind of soaking everything in you can, no matter what. If you think your coach doesn't know what he's saying, or if your coach is if coach is Vince Lombardi, listen to everything they can and soak it in, because there can't be that bad of advice, and everything you can learn and listen from anybody is great. I try and listen to any coach I can, any guy who knows that they're playing the next, or who has played at the next level, and what they tell me, if you learn next level stuff, football becomes easy. Techniques make it easy, and you can be so good. You can be a great player just doing the littlest things right. And if you learn from those and perfect those little things, you dominate on the field. And it's just simple as that.
Hey, Nick, you're a class act. Very proud of what you've been able to, again, accomplish there on and off the field at Northern Highlands Regional High School. And, wishing you continued success and, just keep up the great job and looking forward to seeing what you do in college.
Will do. Thank you. Thank you so much for this.